Journey Theater, the producers of fun-filled musicals such as Singin' in the Rain and thought-provoking plays like A Wrinkle in Time, bring you Journey Around Town.
Journey Theater is a non-profit theater program dedicated to seeing kids and families grow in character and purpose. So would you please consider donating to help make that happen? Check out our website at www.journeytheater.org. Here's our host, Bella Rodriguez.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Here at Journey, we are thankful for you for tuning in to Journey Theater's presentation of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz from the book by L. Frank Baum. We're so glad to have you with us as we continue to innovate and keep students like me performing and collaborating together with our first audio play. And a special welcome to our studio audience. This audio production of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz is sponsored by Kingsway Christian Schools.
Kingsway Christian Schools serve students from 12 months to 12th grade. Their academic rigor, biblical integration, real-world skills, and Christian values are evident throughout their community, both in person and through the online academy. Kingsway welcomes new and transfer students, homeschoolers, distant learners, and need-a-changers. Plan to tour the campus and see why they are celebrating 50 years of academic excellence. Discover, discern, dream, and do God's will for your child's life at Kingsway Christian Schools at www.kwcs.org.
The Wonderful Wizard of Oz was written in 1900, turned into a Broadway musical in 1902, and a popular movie starring the legendary Judy Garland in 1939. And now, over a century after it was published, the book is one of the best-known stories in American literature, and the Library of Congress had declared the work to be America's greatest and best-loved homegrown fairy tale. In the first of 4 thrilling episodes, we're not in Kansas anymore. We meet Dorothy, a lonely young girl from the plains of Kansas, as she begins her wonderful adventures in the land of Oz. So get comfortable, perk up your ears, and enjoy episode 1 of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Dorothy lived in the midst of the great Kansas prairies with her Uncle Henry, who was a farmer, and her Aunt Em, who was the farmer's wife. When Dorothy stood in the doorway of their small farmhouse and looked around, she could see nothing but the great gray prairie on every side. Not a tree nor house broke the broad sweep of flat country that reached to the edge of the sky in all directions. When Aunt Em came to live there, she was a young, pretty wife. The sun and wind had changed her too. They had taken the sparkle from her eyes and left them a sober gray. She was thin and gaunt and never smiled now. When Dorothy first came to her, Aunt Em had been so startled by the child's laughter that she looked at the little girl with wonder that she could find anything to laugh at. Uncle Henry never laughed. He worked hard from morning till night and did not know what joy was. He was gray also, from his long beard to his rough boots, and he looked stern and solemn and never spoke. Toto, that had made Dorothy laugh and saved her from growing as gray as her other surroundings. Toto was not gray. He was a little black dog with long silky hair and small black eyes that twinkled merrily on either side of his funny wee nose. Toto played all day long, and Dorothy played with him and loved him dearly. Today, however, they were not playing. Uncle Henry sat upon the doorstep and looked anxiously at the sky, which was even grayer than usual.
Uncle Henry?
Dorothy stood in the door with Toto in her arms and looked at the sky too.
See the grass there, Dorothy? There's a storm coming from the north.
Dorothy could see where the long grass bowed in waves before the coming storm. There now came a sharp whistling in the air from the south, and as they turned their eyes that way, they saw ripples in the grass coming from that direction also. Suddenly, Uncle Henry stood up.
There's a cyclone coming, Em. I'll go look after the stock.
Quick, Dorothy, run for the cellar!
Oh no! Toto! Come out from under the bed! We have to get to the cellar! Oh, Toto, the house! The house is blowing away! Toto, look out! Look out! Toto! Where are we? What's happening? We're in a house, but the house is up in the air. Everything's moving, everything's rushing through the sky, barns and buggies. And there goes our chicken roost. Toto, we're caught in the cyclone. We're right up inside the middle of a cyclone. I don't understand this at all. Things are flying around so fast that I can't. Toto, we'll be dashed to pieces.
Hour after hour passed away, the house flying through the air. And slowly, Dorothy got over her fright, but she felt quite lonely. At last, she crawled over the swaying floor to her bed and lay down upon it, and Toto followed her and lay down beside her. In spite of the swaying of the house and the wailing of the wind, Dorothy soon closed her eyes and fell fast asleep. Dorothy was awakened by a shock.
Toto? We've landed. Look, there's sunshine outside. But where are we? It's so beautiful.
The cyclone had set the house down very gently, for a cyclone, in the midst of a country of marvelous beauty. There were lovely patches of greensward all about, with stately trees bearing rich and luscious fruits. Banks of gorgeous flowers were on every hand, and birds with rare and brilliant plumage sang and fluttered in the trees and bushes. A little way off was a small brook, rushing and sparkling along between green banks, and murmuring in a voice very grateful to a little girl who had lived so long on the dry, gray prairies.
You're right, Toto. This can't be Kansas. I see them, Toto. They're coming this way. My, they are the strangest people I've ever seen. They're not as tall as Uncle Henry. Are they children like me? No, they don't look like children. Look, Toto. They have little beards like Uncle Henry, and look at their odd clothes.
Coming toward Dorothy were two men wearing round blue hats that rose to a small point a foot above their heads, with little bells around the brims that tinkled sweetly as they moved. With the men was a woman of the same size.
Oh, how beautiful! Her dress is sprinkled with little stars that shine like diamonds. She seems much older than Aunt Em, Toto. Look, her face is covered with wrinkles and her hair is nearly all white.
The strangers drew near the house where Dorothy was standing in the doorway, and they paused.
You are welcome, most noble sorceress, to the land of the Munchkins. We are so grateful to you for having killed the Wicked Witch of the East and for setting our people free from bondage.
What do you mean by calling me a sorceress? And you're very kind, but there must be some mistake. I've never killed anything in all my life.
Your house did anyway, and that is the same thing. See, there are her 2 feet still sticking out from under a block of wood.
There, indeed, just under the corner of the great beam the house rested on, 2 feet were sticking out, shod in silver shoes with pointed toes.
Oh dear, the house must have fallen on her. Whatever shall we do?
There's nothing to be done.
But who was she?
She was the Wicked Witch of the East, as I said. She has held all the Munchkins in bondage for many years, making them slaves for her day and night. Now they are all set free and are grateful to you for the favor.
But who are the Munchkins?
They're the people who live in this land of the East where the Wicked Witch ruled.
Are you a Munchkin?
Oh no, but I am their friend, although I live in the land of the North. When they saw the Witch of the East was dead, the Munchkin sent a swift messenger to me, and I came at once. I am the Witch of the North.
Oh gracious! Are you a real witch?
Yes, indeed, but I am a good witch, and the people love me. I am not as powerful as the Wicked Witch who ruled here, or I should have set the people free myself.
But I thought all witches were wicked.
Oh no, that is a great mistake. There were only 4 witches in all the land of Oz, and 2 of them, those who live in the north and south, are good witches. I know this to be true, for I am one of them myself, and cannot be mistaken. Those who dwelt in the east and west were indeed wicked witches. But now that you have killed one of them, there is but one wicked witch in all the land of Oz, the one who lives in the west.
But Aunt Em has told me that the witches were all dead years and years ago.
Who is Aunt Em?
She's my aunt who lives in Kansas, where I come from.
I do not know where Kansas is, for I have never heard that country mentioned before. But tell me, is it a civilized country?
Oh, yes.
Then that accounts for it. In the civilized countries, I believe there are no witches left. But you see, the land of Oz has never been civilized, for we are cut off from all the rest of the world. Therefore, we still have witches and wizards among us. Oz himself is the great wizard. He is more powerful than all the rest of us together. He lives in the City of Emeralds.
The Wicked Witch has disappeared! Nothing is left but her silver shoes.
What is it? Oh, she was so old that she dried up quickly in the sun. That is the end of her, but the silver shoes are yours, and you shall have them to wear.
Witch of the East was proud of those silver shoes, and there was some charm connected with them, but what it is, we never knew.
I'm anxious to get back to my aunt and uncle, for I'm sure they'll worry about me. Can you help me find my way?
The Munchkins and the witch first looked at one another, then at Dorothy, and shook their heads.
At the east, not far from here, there is a great desert, and that none could live to cross it. It is the same in the south, for I have been there and seen it. The south is the country of the Quadlings.
I am told that it is the same in the west, and that country where the Winkies live is ruled by the Wicked Witch of the West, who would make you your slave if you passed her way.
The north is my home, and at its edge is the same great desert that surrounds this land of Oz. I'm afraid, my dear, you'll have to live with us.
Oh no! Toto and I must get home!
The little old woman took off her cap and balanced the point on the end of her nose while she counted.
1, 2, 3.
At once the cap changed to a slate, on which was written in big white chalk marks.
Let Dorothy go to the City of Emeralds. Is your name Dorothy, my dear?
Yes.
Then you must go to the City of Emeralds. Perhaps Oz will help you. It is exactly in the center of the country and is ruled by Oz, the great wizard I told you of.
Is he a good man?
He is a good wizard. Whether he's a man or not, I cannot tell, for I have never seen him.
How can I get there?
You must walk. It is a long journey through a country that is sometimes pleasant and sometimes dark and terrible. However, I will use all the magic arts I know of to keep you from harm.
Won't you go with me?
Oh no, I cannot do that, dear. But I will give you my kiss, and no one will dare injure a person who has been kissed by the Witch of the North.
She came close to Dorothy and kissed her gently on the forehead. Where her lips touched the girl, they left a round, shining mark.
The road to the City of Emeralds is paved with yellow brick, so you cannot miss it. When you get to Oz, do not be afraid of him, but tell your story and ask him to help you. Goodbye, my dear.
The witch gave Dorothy a friendly little nod, whirled around on her left heel 3 times, and straightway disappeared.
You shouldn't be surprised, Toto. She's a witch. I expected her to disappear in just that way.
When Dorothy was left alone, she began to feel hungry.
Come on, Toto. We better find something to eat before we start our journey. There's bread and butter in the cupboard, and we can pick some fruit from the tree over there.
After she had eaten her fill, Dorothy set about making ready for the journey to the City of Emeralds.
Well, Toto, we can pack the rest of this food in my basket to take with us. The City of Emeralds sounds like it's a long way from here, and we might get hungry again.
She looked down at her dress, all filthy from her journey in the cyclone.
Oh, Toto, I can't see the Wizard of Oz in this filthy dress. Do you think Aunt Em would let me wear my best dress?
So Dorothy put on her best dress. It was gingham, with checks of white and blue, and although the blue was somewhat faded with many washings, it was still a pretty frock. Then she looked down at her feet and noticed how old and worn her shoes were.
They surely will never do for a long journey, Toto. What about the silver shoes that belong to the Witch of the East? I wonder if they'll fit me. They would be just the thing to take a long walk in, for they could never wear out. They fit! They fit as if they've been made for me. Come along, Toto. We will go to the Emerald City and ask the Great Oz how to get back to Kansas again. Look! There it is! There's the yellow brick road. Let's go, Toto!
Within a short time, she was walking briskly toward the Emerald City, her silver shoes tinkling merrily on the hard, yellow roadbed. The sun shone bright, and the birds sang sweetly, and Dorothy did not feel nearly so bad as you might think a little girl would, who had been suddenly whisked away from her own country and set down in the midst of a strange land.
You know, Toto, this land is so much prettier than Kansas. And have you noticed? Their favorite color must be blue. Blue houses, blue fences, blue clothes.
Every time Dorothy passed a house along the road, the people came out to look at her and bow low as she went by. One of them even greeted her.
You must be a great sorceress, because you wear the silver shoes and have killed the Wicked Witch. Besides, you have white in your frock, and only witches and sorceresses wear white.
My dress is blue and white checked.
It is kind of you to wear that. Blue is the color of the Munchkins, and white is the witch color, so we know you are a friendly witch.
Oh, Toto, I don't know how to tell them that I'm only an ordinary little girl. How far is it to the Emerald City?
I do not know, for I have never been there. It is better for people to keep away from Oz, unless they have business with him. But it is a long way to the Emerald City, and it will take you many days. The country here is rich and pleasant, but you must pass through rough and dangerous places before you reach the end of your journey.
Well, Toto, we can't turn back now. Only the Great Oz can help me get back to Kansas again.
So Dorothy continued along the road of yellow brick. After several miles, she stopped to rest. There was a great cornfield, and not far away she saw a scarecrow placed high on a pole to keep the birds away from the ripe corn.
Look, Toto, a scarecrow just like home. What? Toto, did you see that scarecrow wink at me? The scarecrows in Kansas certainly don't wink at one. There, I saw it again. Come on, Toto.
Good day.
Did you speak?
Certainly. How do you do?
I'm pretty well, thank you. How do you do?
I'm not feeling well, for it is very tedious being perched up here night and day to scare away crows.
Can't you get down?
No, for this pole is stuck up my back. If you will please take away the pole, I shall be greatly obliged to you. Thank you very much. I feel like a new man.
It sounds so strange to hear a stuffed man speak, and to see you bow and walk along beside me. In Kansas, scarecrows don't speak.
Who are you? And where are you going?
My name is Dorothy, and I'm going to the Emerald City to ask the Great Oz to send me back to Kansas.
Where's the Emerald City? And who is Oz?
Why, don't you know?
No, indeed. I don't know anything. You see, I'm stuffed, so I have no brains at all. Do you think if I go to the Emerald City with you, that Oz would give me some brains?
I cannot tell, but you may come with me if you like. If Oz will not give you any brains, you'll be no worse off than you are now.
That is true. You see, I don't mind my legs and my arms and my body being stuffed because I cannot get hurt. But I do not want people to call me a fool, and if my head stays stuffed with straw instead of with brains, as yours is, how am I ever to know anything?
I understand how you feel. If you will come with me, I'll ask Oz to do all that he can for you.
Oh, thank you.
So Dorothy and the Scarecrow made their way back to the yellow brick road and headed for the Emerald City. Toto did not like this addition to the party at first.
Don't mind Toto, he never bites.
Oh, I am not afraid. He can't hurt the straw. Do let me carry that basket for you. I shall not mind it, for I can't get tired. I'll tell you a secret. There's only one thing in the world I am afraid of.
What's that? The Munchkin farmer who made you?
No, it's a lighted match.
After a few hours, the road began to be rough. The farms were not so nearly well cared for as they were farther back. There were fewer houses and fewer fruit trees, and the farther they went, the more dismal and lonesome the country became.
You may not get tired, Scarecrow, but little girls do. Let's rest here for a spell and eat dinner. Would you like some bread?
I am never hungry, and it is a lucky thing I am not, for my mouth is only painted, and if I should cut a hole in it so I could eat, the straw I am stuffed with would come out, and that would spoil the shape of my head. Tell me something about yourself and the country you came from.
So she told him all about Kansas, how gray everything was there, and how the cyclone had carried her to this strange land of Oz.
I cannot understand why you should wish to leave this beautiful country and go back to the dry, gray place you call Kansas.
That is because you have no brains. No matter how dreary and gray our homes are, we'd rather live there than in any other country, be it ever so beautiful. There's no place like home.
Of course I cannot understand it. If your heads were stuffed with straw, like mine, you would probably all live in the beautiful places, and then Kansas would have no people at all. It is fortunate for Kansas that you have brains.
Oh yes. Shall we go? Come on, Toto.
Toward evening, they came to a great forest where the trees grew so big and close together that their branches met over the road of yellow brick. It was almost dark under the trees, for the branches shut out the daylight, but the travelers did not stop and went on into the forest.
If this road goes in, it must come out. And as the Emerald City is on the other end of the road, we must go wherever it leads us.
Anyone would know that.
Certainly, that is why I know it. If it required brains to figure it out, I never should have said it.
It's so dark in here. I can't see anything.
I can see just fine. Take hold of my arm and I will guide us.
Oh, thank you. If you see any house or any place where we can pass the night, you must tell me. For it's very uncomfortable walking in the dark.
I see a little cottage at the right of us, built of logs and branches. Shall we go there?
Yes, indeed. I'm all tired out. Hello? Oh, look, Toto, a bed.
She lay down at once, and with Toto beside her, soon fell into a sound sleep. The Scarecrow, who was never tired, stood up in another corner and watched over Dorothy while she slept. When Dorothy awoke, the sun was shining through the trees, and Toto had long been out chasing birds around him and squirrels. She sat up and looked around. There was the Scarecrow, still standing patiently in his corner, waiting for her.
Good morning, Scarecrow.
Good morning, Dorothy.
After Dorothy and Toto finished their breakfast, remember, the Scarecrow doesn't eat, they were about to go back to the road of yellow brick. When?
What was that?
I cannot imagine, but we can go and see.
What's that shining through the trees? Let's go. Oh my!
What is it, Dorothy?
It's a man, I think, but he's made entirely of tin. And see, he's holding an axe in his hands. But he's so still, as if he cannot stir at all. Did you groan?
Yes, I did. I've been groaning for more than a year, and no one has ever heard me before or come to help me.
What can I do for you?
Get the oil can and oil my joints. They are rusted so badly that I cannot move them at all. If I am well oiled, I shall soon be all right again. Oh, you will find an oil can by the tree.
Here it is. Where are your joints?
Oil my neck first. Now oil the joints of my arms. Now, if you will kindly oil my mouth. Thank you.
You can put your axe down now.
This is a great comfort. I've been holding the axe in the air ever since I rusted, and I'm glad to be able to put it down at last. Now, if you will oil the joints of my legs, I shall be all right once more. Oh, thank you. I might have stood there always if you had not come along, so you have certainly saved my life.
You're very welcome. I'm Dorothy, and this is Toto. And this is the Scarecrow.
Hello.
We are on our way to the Emerald City to see the Great Oz, and we stopped at your cottage to pass the night.
Why do you wish to see Oz?
I want him to send me back to Kansas, and the Scarecrow wants him to put a few brains in his head.
Do you suppose Oz could give me a heart?
Why, I guess so. It would be just as easy to give the Scarecrow brains.
True. So, if you allow me to join your party, I will also go to the Emerald City and ask Oz to help me.
Come along.
Oh, please do.
Would you put my oil can in your basket? For if I should get caught in the rain and rust again, I would need the oil can badly.
For a long time, Dorothy and her companions walked through the thick woods. Now and then there came a deep growl from some wild animal hidden among the trees. These sounds made the little girl's heart beat fast, for she did not know what made them. But Toto knew, and he walked close to Dorothy's side and did not even bark in return.
How long will it be before we're out of the forest?
I cannot tell, for I've never been to the Emerald City. But my father went there once when I was a boy, and he said it was a long journey through a dangerous country. Although, nearer to the city where Oz dwells, the country is beautiful. But I'm not afraid. As long as I have my oil can, and nothing can hurt the Scarecrow, while you bear upon your forehead the mark of the Good Witch's kiss, that'll protect you from harm.
But Toto, what will protect him?
We must protect him ourselves if he is in danger.
Just as he spoke, there came from a forest a terrible roar! And the next moment, a great lion bounded into the road. With one blow of his paw, he sent the Scarecrow spinning over and over to the edge of the road. And then he struck at the Tin Woodman with his sharp claws. But, to the lion's surprise, he could make no impression on the tin, although the woodman fell over in the road and lay still.
Oh no! Toto!
Little Toto, now that he had an enemy to face, ran barking toward the lion, and the great beast had opened its mouth to bite the dog, when Dorothy, fearing Toto would be killed and heedless of danger, rushed forward and slapped the lion upon his nose as hard as she could while she cried out,
Don't you dare to bite Toto! yourself a big beast like you to bite a poor little dog?
I didn't bite him.
No, but you tried to. You're nothing but a big coward.
I know it. I've always known it, but how can I help it?
Well, I don't know, I'm sure. To think of your striking a stuffed man like the poor scarecrow? Let me help you up, dear.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Is he stuffed?
Of course he's stuffed.
That's why he went over so easily. It astonished me to see him whirl around so. Is the other one stuffed also?
No, he's made of tin. Let me help you stand up again, Mr. Woodman.
Thank you, Dorothy.
That's why he nearly blunted my claws. When they scratched against the tin, it made a cold shiver run down my back. And what is that little animal you were so tender of?
He's my dog, Toto.
Is he made of tin or stuffed?
Neither. He's a meat dog.
Oh, he's a curious animal and seems remarkably small now that I look at him. No one would think of biting such a little thing, except a coward like me.
What makes you a coward?
I suppose I was born that way. All the other animals in the forest naturally expect me to be brave, for the lion is everywhere thought to be the king of beasts. I learned that if I roared very loudly, every living thing was frightened and got out of my way. If the elephants and the tigers and the bears had ever tried to fight me, I should have run myself. I'm such a coward. But just as soon as they hear me roar, they all try to get away from me. And of course, I let them go.
But that isn't right. The king of beasts shouldn't be a coward.
I know it. It is my great sorrow and makes my life very unhappy. But wherever there is danger, my heart begins to beat fast.
Perhaps you have heart disease.
It may be.
If you have, you ought to be glad, for it proves you have a heart. For my part, I have no heart, so I cannot have heart disease.
Perhaps, if I had no heart, I should not be a coward.
Have you any brains?
I suppose so. I've never looked to see.
I am going to the Great Oz to ask him to give me some, for my head is stuffed with straw.
And I'm going to ask him to give me a heart.
And I'm going to ask him to send me and Toto back to Kansas.
Do you think Oz could give me courage?
Just as easily as he could give me brains.
Or give me a heart.
Or send me back to Kansas.
Then, if you don't mind, I'll go with you, for my life is simply unbearable without a bit of courage.
You'll be very welcome, for you will help to keep away the other wild beasts. It seems to me they must be more cowardly than you are if they allow you to scare them so easily.
They really are, but that doesn't make me any braver, and as long as I know myself to be a coward, I shall be unhappy.
So once more the little company set off upon the journey, the lion walking with stately strides at Dorothy's side. This was to be an eventful day for the travelers. They had hardly been walking an hour when they saw before them a great ditch that crossed the road and divided the forest as far as they could see on the other side.
Oh my, it's a very wide ditch and so deep. Do you see those jagged rocks at the bottom? What shall we do?
I haven't the faintest idea.
We cannot fly, that is certain. Neither can we climb down into this great ditch. Therefore, if we cannot jump over it, we must stop where we are.
I think I could jump over it. It is not so far.
Then we are all right, for you can carry us all over on your back, one at a time.
Well, I'll try. Who will go first?
I will, for if you find that you cannot jump over the gulf, Dorothy would be killed, or the Tin Woodman badly dented on the rocks below. But if I am on your back, it will not matter so much, for the fall would not hurt me at all.
I am terribly afraid of falling myself, but I suppose there is nothing to do but try it. So get on my back, and we will make the attempt.
The scarecrow sat upon the lion's back, and the big beast walked to the edge of the gulf and crouched down. Then, giving a great spring, he shot through the air and landed safely on the other side.
Good job!
Oh, great job, buddy!
Toto and I will go next.
Once they were all safely on the other side, they found themselves in a dark and gloomy forest as they continued down the road of yellow brick.
Oh, Toto, I wonder if we will ever come to see the end of this woods and see the bright sunshine again.
Did you hear that?
What was that?
The Kalidas live in this part of the country. They are the monstrous beasts with bodies like bears and heads like tigers and with claws so long and sharp that they could tear me in two as easily as I could kill Toto. I'm terribly afraid of the Kalidas.
I'm not surprised that you are. They must be dreadful beasts.
Oh no! Look, there's another gulf in the road.
It is too broad and deep. I cannot leap across it.
If we cannot cross, we'll never get to the Emerald City. And I should never go back to Kansas.
And I should get no brains.
And I should get no courage.
I should get no heart.
Don't cry, Mr. Woodman. You'll rest again.
We must certainly get to the Emerald City if we can.
So they sat down to consider what they should do, and after serious thought, the Scarecrow said,
Here's a great tree standing close to the ditch. If the Tin Woodman can chop it down so that it will fall to the other side, we can walk across it easily.
That is a first-rate idea. One would almost suspect you had brains in your head instead of straw.
The Woodman set to work at once, and so sharp was his axe that the tree was chopped nearly through. Then the Lion put his strong front legs against the tree and pushed with all his might. And slowly, the big tree tipped and fell with a crash across the ditch with its top branches on the other side.
Yeah!
They had just started to cross this unusual bridge when a sharp growl made them all look up.
Santa, come at us!
Quick, let us cross over.
Yes, let's go. We're gonna die. I don't want to die.
As Dorothy, Toto, the Scarecrow, the Tin Woodsman, and the Cowardly Lion run for their lives from the terrifying creatures called the Kalida, we are left to wonder. Will they escape? Will they ever set their eyes upon the Emerald City? Or is their adventure doomed from the start? You have to tune in to Episode 2, Wishes, Wizards, and Witches Oh My to find out. And now a word from our sponsor.
Are visions of sugar plums dancing in your head as you make Christmas party plans? Are you ready to deck the halls but need some special entertainment for your holiday party? Make your event really special with the Journey Carolers. Our Dickensian Glad Singers will bring you holiday classics to enliven any event. To book your carolers, call 360-750-8550 today.
You have been listening to Episode 1 of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz, performed by Journey Theater. This episode was performed by
Izzy Hill as the storyteller,
Isabella Stiller as Auntie M,
Peyton Schoonover as Uncle Henry,
Sadie Gilliam as Dorothy,
Zoe Arpin as Toto,
Keziah Perozzo as LaCosta, Good Witch of the North,
Alexis Ramirez,
Emily Sager
Abilene Trevino,
as the Munchkins,
Mason Van Cleve as the Scarecrow,
Molly Waller as the Tin Woodsman,
Grace Farrell as the Cowardly Lion.
special appearances and sound effects by
Parker Wasnick,
Kaylee Gibbs,
Lily Graham,
Hannah McDaniel,
Bella Rodriguez,
Isabella Stiller, Zoe Arpin,
Abilene Trevino,
Emily Sager,
Alexis Ramirez,
Keziah Perozzo,
Peyton Schoonover,
Our stage manager is.
Annalie Ahola,
This episode was directed by Melissa Bearford. Sound engineers were Nick Faust, Jen Gilliam, and Michael Arpin. I'm your host, Bella Rodriguez. Don't forget to tune in to Episode 2, Wishes, Wizard, and Witches Oh My, premiering at 6 p.m. tomorrow, Saturday, November 27th, right here.
This episode was recorded in front of a live studio audience. No dogs were harmed in the making of this recording.
Journey Theater is supported in part by the Washington State Arts Commission, the Camas Washougal Community Trust, the National Endowment for the Arts, and generous donors like you.
Journey Theater, live theater, changing lives.